Welcome, everyone, to this very special live show performance and presentation where Scanner, aka Robin Rimbaud, and me will be playing or we will be enjoying a dinner and we will be sonifying the whole experience. What can you expect from this? Well, I don't think we both know either, but we know that this will be a fun project. If you're watching this right now, thank you all for joining in. I'm really looking forward to this. This is something completely new. I hope it's a bit different from just a normal live stream, and it's also fun to play with the format of how can you play together live, especially when you don't have to worry about when you have to worry about things like latency, being in time. So a more performative thing could be the answer, or it could be a disaster. But we'll see how this whole thing goes. If you enjoy what you're seeing, we've got Super Chat activated. There you can pitch in and throw us something in so we can pay for the lovely food that we have here tonight and the cost of streaming. And yeah, I think this is going to be, at least I'm already very happy because Robin and me, we've been working on this for, yeah, I think 3 to 5 days now. And it's funny to put a kitchen table and food in a place that's definitely not meant for food. And I think the studio is one of those places where food should not be that much. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Scanner. And I'm gonna put you on. Here we go. Hi, Robin.
Hey, hello. I'm here in the busy restaurant. I hope you can hear me over the crowds.
Yeah, the crowd is. Yeah, it's busy here at your place.
Incredible.
It's nice. Yeah, it's good that you could make time in your schedule to meet up like this.
It's amazing with so many people at the tables around here at the Scanner restaurant with social distancing by several thousand meters.
Yeah,
But
that's definitely no.
it's a joy to be here. Let me try and make them a bit. Could you keep the noise down, please? We're trying to have a conversation. Yeah. Okay, they've quietened down a bit. That's good.
That's very
That's
good.
good.
Yeah, so you zoom.
Yeah. So, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. How's been your day? How has your day been?
My day, my day has been sunny and busy. It's strange how in these times of isolation and all work cancelled, I seem to be busier than ever. It's really it's strange in a way. I'm very good at motivating myself to do things, so I tend to wake up early and keep busy all day and never catch up with everything I want to. But this time has been a great chance to invest in learning things and catching up with things and those kind of things, and thinking about tonight and what we can eat and what we can do and what we can make, of course. And
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, I've been quite nervous about this in the sense that, I've played performances in front of large crowds, but this is something quite different. I think, I always enjoy risk. I always enjoy opportunities where I'm not sure what's going to happen. So this is great, and also I like the idea of it being a social engagement. Many people may be watching now or watching later on and eating whilst watching us now. So I like the idea of this kind of large social dinner, which may be the way that dinners are presented in the future. We all sit on webcams and eat together in a way. I hope not, but it's a possibility in some places.
maybe, yeah. And I mean, like, I've personally been touring a lot, and something that I did with my family was often they would just have Skype breakfast. So this format is kind of like the talking over breakfast. That's something I did a lot with the kids, especially. And but to sonify this, that's new. That's a new challenge. And
Yeah.
I've only made one time music with food. I think that was in a theater performance. But there was somebody else doing all the preparing and all of that stuff. And I would be comfortably hiding behind my mixing desk and I could just do everything. This is a very much different situation.
This is, and we both have setups that are, you can see most of it within the camera frame and some things are slightly off, but we both have the ability to manipulate sound and change sounds. I'm not sure. We can talk about this afterwards, can't we? The actual process.
Yeah,
and everything.
definitely. We should also, I think, if there will be questions after, we should definitely give the people a chance. So we will be doing a Q&A after. And I'll try to look at the chat. And but that's one thing too many. But we've got my friend Constantine in the chat from Single Malt Synthesis, who will be taking care that you all behave. And which I absolutely think he will, but still he's there also. So yeah, so
excellent.
Yeah, should we get started?
Let's start. What are you going to eat first? What do you have?
The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open all the channels on my mixer.
Okay.
Because I've set myself this little space. And one thing that I did, my friend Wouter, I have to do this like this. My friend Wouter gifted me this glass, which is a Duvel glass. And I tuned my whole performance to this glass.
Beautiful.
And so the first thing that I'm going to do is fill this glass. And basically everything here is kind of musical. So it's going to be fun to navigate this.
So we start with a drink.
I'll start with a drink. And then I've got some already some saranaki, some fried cheese, and some olives. So
perfect.
Yeah, and
so maybe I should pour I have a great drink with me. I have the Instro Make Noise Mutable Instruments soft drink. They now make in a very small limited edition. And I will be drinking out of my very cheap supermarket glass because I don't want to break anything too valuable. So let me pour my drink and let's see what we have. So let's have my drink. So let's see what we can do here.
That packs a punch, that drink.
Believe me, the chemicals they put into modular synths, honestly.
Yeah.
Shall we say cheers?
I made it a little bit too foamy. So
yes, one can't drink that.
No.
We can listen to the fizziness.
Yeah, it sounds good, the fizziness. I think I must have shaken my beer a bit because I just had it on the bicycle and brought it here. So that's why it's a little bit more foamy than usual, I think.
So this could be the next hour, watching your beer slowly warm up.
No, it's gonna be fine in a minute.
Wow, nice. The bubbles sound amazing.
Yeah. I'm really happy like to have discovered Duvel through Wouter. It's kind of our standard drink that we drink when we play as
Mm.
odd narrative. And the dream was always to have like just some kind of Duvel sponsorship. So, Duvel, if you watch this, you know where to send the case.
Instro, make noise. Mutable instrument. You, you know where I am. Terrible.
All these people that probably also have your credit card information already.
Exactly. They already know where we live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Are you ready?
I think. Cheers.
Cheers. Excuse me. That's one loud drink. So maybe time for a snack.
Yeah. I have Kalamata olives. They're very tasty. Olives also have very musical
True.
abilities.
Mm. Show me. Indigestion already.
That was a very enjoyable first course. Robin, in general, do you find yourself to be a fast or a slow eater?
Good question. Quite well paced. I try to, as we say in English, I try to masticate a lot. So I learned it's very poor to eat quickly, and so I try my best to eat slowly, which means I generally at dinner with someone, I'm often the last person, and everybody's staring at me thinking, "I'd like to leave the restaurant now. We've been here for 9 hours. Can we please leave?" But it's not quite as bad as that. But
No, but that's interesting because I eat too fast.
oh
I
really?
really eat too fast. In general, yeah, I eat too fast. That's not a good thing, but I kind of do. So I try to slow myself down all the time. So, but my wife is also a fast eater. We are both
Okay.
fast eaters.
No, it's
But
an interesting thing because obviously, at the moment, a lot of people are not in offices eating, and so they are in a situation where they're eating at home, and in some ways, perhaps they're eating healthier. Perhaps they're not. Often people eat lunch while they're working. They sit at their desk or something doing things. And actually, what I enjoy is taking a break and actually having a physical break. I've worked from home now for over 25 years, and I enjoy having that physical break. I'm not British enough to have a tea break. I have crackers, but I don't drink tea. But I like that kind of discipline, and I like to have that break where you can walk away from a space you're working in. The one thing I can't do is work late at night in a music studio. I can't bear it. Like, I have windows all around. I like the daylight, and I like to eat in decent timing. We spoke beforehand. We had to make this broadcast slightly earlier because of a modest medical condition I have. I have to eat earlier, and I'm very conscious of that. The trouble is, when you're working sometimes and you're traveling, you may be in somewhere like Spain or Italy, and you play a concert, and suddenly at 11 o'clock or midnight, everybody says, "Let's go for dinner now." And I would generally rather just go to bed well before that, but I'd rather go to bed and eat the next morning and perhaps be a little bit hungry in my tummy rather than eat late at night. And it's not good for me anyway. So I'm a good boy, really.
can you eat? So you have to eat right before a show, probably then.
Yeah, I can never eat after a show. I mean, most of my work in recent years has been in, rather like yourself, not only in theatre, but in spaces where events happen earlier, where a lot with contemporary dance and ballet, for example, or museums. And what I enjoy about that is that by 9 o'clock, the event is over. So you can either go out for a drink and socialize and still be in bed early. I'm so rock and roll. But I enjoy that. You know, I've certainly had a past of having to stay up very late for concerts. In fact, I was in Sweden a couple of years ago, and a friend of mine, Anna, invited me for this show. And when I learned that my performance was 3 o'clock in the morning, you can imagine how I felt. And so I literally had dinner. I went to bed around 8 or 9 o'clock, I think. And then I got up about 2:15, 2:30 in the morning and walked to the venue and played, and then went back to bed and still woke up at about 6:30, 7 o'clock the next day. That was my lie in bed. So I'm not good at that kind of timetable. And the same with eating. So I eat slower than other people. But I pace myself well, I hope. I try to keep my figure. It doesn't show it now. It was my birthday this week. And I ate too much food. You know, one of those days where at the end of the day you think, there's no more physical space within this creature. There's no more space food can actually go, but somehow it did. You know, it's quite amazing sometimes.
Yeah, one thing that I completely stopped is overeating. Like, I really don't like to overeat to feel full. I don't do that, so I go by, you know, 20%, 80% full kind of thing. That helps me a lot. But one thing that I can't eat before a show, unless it's like there's 2 hour difference, then it's fine. But I can't, like, if it's like half an hour, oh no, artist dinner, and then go on stage. I can't do that. I'm just too slow then.
Because you're nervous, or?
No, because I'm full and the body wants to digest and
Okay,
lie down. I take regular naps in the afternoon, so food makes me tired. So
Of course.
I can't really do that before a show. So I had nothing before this show.
Okay, good.
Of course, but I knew we would be eating.
Yeah, I had 6 meals before this just to be sure I could be really full. So I'll be okay.
Perfect.
I've got like burgers and all kinds of junk all sitting around on the floor out of camera. No, I haven't.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna move on to the second course now, right?
Okay.
Or the first course, actually, because this was an appetizer, right?
Absolutely. I'm going to continue with my fine crackers and see what we can do with those. And have a drink.
So, I need my cheat sheet for what I'm having, because my wife and her aunt are great Greek cooks, so all the food that I'm eating today is Greek, vegan, vegetarian, and they've got a cookbook coming, which is out in the German language in August. But I'm still so bad at the Greek language that I needed a Lautschrift of what it is. So, Tiranita kolokithakia. I hope I got that right. I'm sorry, Nicoletta, if I bungled that. So it's fried zucchini with dip.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna pace myself.
Yes. A good idea.
Oh. Robin,
Yes.
do you have sorry, do you have a favorite food?
Food is a strange subject for me. I remember when I was a teenager, it's a time to alienate everybody who loves food, but I remember thinking if there was a pill that would replace a meal, that would be great. And I would spend, at still not so long ago, spend entire days without eating. And suddenly around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, suddenly think, whoa, I feel really lightheaded because I'd forgotten to eat. I have a terrible sweet tooth, so I see anything sweet in a shop and I want to eat it. It's terrible. But I love Indian food, actually. Japanese and Indian food, I really like.
Okay.
But of course, the best food in the world is British food. I was speaking to somebody last week from Germany, and she said she came here when she was 14 in the 1980s. And she told me how the family she stayed with, she was kind of like a young, not au pair, but, like a young visitor. She said, we had chips every day. I thought it's such a wonderful cliche of, the UK back in the 70s and the 80s, and probably still today. When my school friends used to come around and visit my family home, my mother would always quickly make a plate of chips, egg and chips for them.
Okay.
It was like, instead of making a cup of tea, every guest got a plate of egg and chips. And I can't deny I love chips. But and you, what about you for food?
Well, I've been completely spoiled in the past because my wife, she had a restaurant together with her aunt, and it's all Greek food. It was all Greek, vegetarian, vegan food. And in the run-up to that, they tried out all these recipes. Then the restaurant cafe was opened, and I could eat there. And after that, they decided to make this cookbook, and they tried out all these recipes again. So I've been eating so well with Greek food, so that has become one of my favorites. But coming from the south of Germany, I can't say no to something like Käsespätzle, which is basically a certain type of noodle with eggs and full of made with cheese and some kind of and onions. Basically, that's it, and that's super
Good.
comfort food. That's very soul food in
Like
regards
farmer
to
food. It always sounds like farmer food in a way.
yeah. Yeah, it's very like I love like the cuisine from there where it borders on the French, where you get a lot of this good wine and you get Flammkuchen. I really enjoy that.
Mm.
So that's kind of where I've been right now. And but yeah, so I'm happy to have Greek food now as a staple of my diet. And in fact,
Absolutely.
I've been eating so much better because due to being in theater and stuff like that,
Mm.
it's it always requires me and on tour, you know how hard it is to get something good to eat. And when in the theater, I just eat at the canteen, and that's really not the most healthy food. It's meant like for
Of
people
course.
that do physical work, you know,
Mm.
like that are lifting the lights and putting the speakers up and are lifting the scenery. And those people that they need this food that's full of energy and power. While I'm just sitting there and maybe cutting a tape loop or maybe and mostly watching,
Mm.
I would need something light, but I still eat. Okay, oh, it's good. So that's it's not great food, but
No, I heard
so
the story
yeah,
before about sound engineers, how unhealthy it can be because they spend all their day in the darkness. And often, especially in rock venues, they just drink beer a lot just to keep the kind of energy levels going.
yeah,
And they eat fast food because they can't leave the venue. It's not quite possible. They
yeah,
have to be by the desk. And it's quite bad for lots of people, that kind of health. One does have to take care of oneself, health wise. I mean, presumably you have the Greek food, then you go to the gym every day.
No, the Greek food. Gyms are closed, but
What a shame.
we bought a trampoline for the kids. And actually, like, I discovered that you can do workout on the trampoline. So I'm jumping up and down that
Wow.
trampoline. Like, I try as much as I can. It's really fun.
And
It's
your
really good
neighbors
for
love
the
you, I'm
joints.
sure. And the people who live
Ah,
downstairs.
we're like, is it? We say Erdgeschoss, but you probably say first floor when there's
Okay. Yeah.
no one below us. Below us is only ourselves, basically
Okay.
ourselves.
That's good.
So we can just jump up and down. And I like, I mean, I close the blinds so nobody can see me jumping up and down. But
Okay.
it's fun. It's fun.
So you're not
Uh,
releasing a video, a kind of workout video, the Hainbach workout video for the summer?
no Hainbach
No?
workout video. But I feel like I should do like one thing because I suffer badly from tendonitis. So that's something that I get a lot.
Hmm.
And like stuff that makes it more is of course bad diet that makes it worse. And that's why one of the reasons I love doing working with analog gear, because I have to move around a lot.
True.
Okay, so now I want to record the track, so I have to move over there, hit
Yeah.
record there. I have to set up microphones. I
Hmm.
have to twist big knobs somewhere. I have to go down, up. And so kind of a little bit of workout, especially with the test equipment
That's
that's
good.
higher than me. So
Yeah.
I need to step up the ladder up and down. So I'm already, but it's good. And I taught myself to edit left-handed, and I kind of feel, because people ask why is in all the first videos you see me like with bandages and you see me with a with
Really?
a pflaster. What's that? With a band-aid
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
here and stuff like that. And I kind of like want to address like health in this whole thing
Hmm.
because it actually shaped how I make my music. It
Hmm.
made me more into the analog workflow than I maybe would have if it hadn't become such a physical necessity to do that.
Interesting.
So that's something that I was thinking about doing a video.
Yeah.
It's on the long lists of videos I want to and have to do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. How do you feel about going for the main course now?
Okay. Let's do it. I have a
I
way
thought
of
I heard.
I have a way of
Okay.
doing this. Let me show you. Let me try and see if this works.
Ooh, that sounds like it could work across platforms and resonate back to here.
This is an old, ancient British tradition where the ghosts bring food. and you wait patiently, and you wait.
Oh, it's not a ghost, it's my wife that brings the food here. Thank you very much. Falar tu me poli.
Wow.
Oh,
So warm food.
I'm so in. Whoa. Am I echoing in you? Wow. And I'm so indebted to my wife too for preparing this lovely food to me and bringing it. I even rehearsed with the kids. Like we had a walkthrough, like don't step on all these cables, don't step on all these cables. But when we thought, maybe it's a little bit too much. But
Yeah.
the youngest one, for example, she helped with the previous course. So,
Oh,
and
nice.
this is a family project. So
Oh,
I think now it's time to bring out the knife.
absolutely. Let's do this.
Robin, I didn't even ask what you're having. And on the screen, I can't really see because I've got this tiny, tiny iPad screen.
So, past tense, it was steamed broccoli and beans, potatoes, and a kind of veggie burger, all vegetarian. I have to thank my wife, who's an extraordinary cook, without whom of which I would either be a skeleton or an extremely overweight person eating junk food. So she takes care of my wonderful diet. So I'm very grateful in more ways you can imagine. But yeah, when you know somebody that loves cooking and loves food, and it's something that's the last thing on your mind, that helps.
A lot. I mean, you would be the perfect target candidate for these Yule commercials that I've been getting, like food in a container. We basically get food in like some like astronaut food for like the working programmer. And I know a bunch of people in the programming field that are very much efficiency based and just Club Mate and a Yule. This is what I'm going for. But yeah, so I had a pita, which was lovely and crunchy, which is
that's good.
That was the first thing I thought about when we started to conceptualize this, because it just sounds crunchy, and I tried to put it in there. But on tour, you know, it's really hard to get something good to eat. And do you have a horror story about food that you had to eat on tour because it was all there was, or something that made you sick? Just a horror story about food.
I have too many. I've in fact been writing a book of the horror stories. I've been writing a book for a number of years of all the terribly humiliating and embarrassing things that have happened to me whilst on tour. And they're always related to food, but they're about the kind of, it's a little bit about pulling the curtain away in a kind of Wizard of Oz way, that you suddenly reveal this person on stage is presenting some image, but in fact, what just happened. As a good example, the first show I played in New York in the early 1990s was at a place called Cold Storage, which relates to food because it was in the meat packing district. This area, if you're familiar with it, is now full of very plush, expensive fashion stores. It's been regenerated beyond all comprehension. But I was very excited to play my first show there. And I was quite nervous, so I had to pee beforehand. So I asked the promoter, "Where's the toilet?" And he showed me to the door, and I was so desperate to pee, I just ran into the room. He closed the door behind me. I did my work, and I had to go back on stage. I went to the door, and the door was locked, and it wouldn't open. And then I heard an announcement: "Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome all the way from the United Kingdom, Scanner." Where am I? In the toilet, locked in the toilet. And so it was a disabled toilet, so it had the bars along the walls on each side. So I grabbed hold of the bars and in a kind of superhero way, leapt at the door, and it didn't open. And I tried and I hammered on the door, but it's a club and there's music playing and there's people talking and it's backstage so nobody can hear me. And I almost wanted to cry, thinking, really, this is my first opportunity to impress people, and this is what's happening. And then suddenly the door opened, and it was a sliding door. It wasn't a door that opened this way. And this girl just slid the door open and said, "Are you okay, man?" And I just kind of held my head between my legs and walked out on the stage. And the history of my career has been largely incidents like that. Whether they're food related, I wonder.
It had to. I let it pass because it had to do with the thing after, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
I did have a great show in Germany many years ago when there was a large flood and the venue I was meant to play at couldn't be accessed because it flooded. So thankfully, somebody had the great idea of contacting a local restaurant that they knew. And so I and the other artists that were playing, we all just basically drove off to the restaurant and we set up there. So instead of being on a stage with all people around, it was everybody seated at tables, quite civilized. And at the time I was using a theremin. So many people are familiar with this instrument. It's a box that has a big wire sticking out the top. I came on stage and I made sure there was a spotlight onto the theremin, and I held my hand up like this to wave at it because the proximity of your hand, as you know, makes it go. So I did this and suddenly thought, that's my underwear, isn't it? Stuck around the aerial. And because I'd had to unpack so quickly, my underwear was still stuck on the thing on stage. And I couldn't lift it off because that would be even more humiliating. So I just had to leave it there in the hope that nobody would say, "Excuse me, sir, why are you presenting your underwear on stage?" So the book, they get more extreme, believe me. They are quite disgusting at times. I say no more. Let's wait for one day for me to finish it and hopefully publishing it within my lifetime so I can suffer the humiliation in public and people quote it back to me.
Oh, please do. I love these. I love these tour stories books. And like talking tour stories is just one of the things like I noticed like whatever kind of artist you are, be you an experimental noise artist, be you a dub reggae artist, be you a techno DJ, there's always the one thing that unites us, and that is the road. So, yeah. I mean, like yeah.
Please.
One thing that I always found, like when you tour in Germany, there's one thing that you'll always see. If there's catering, which is nice, then there will always be like Brötchen, like small. What's Brötchen in English? I don't know. Small bread, like round.
Yeah.
Small, like this.
Yeah,
and then and then there's cheap cheese in there, and because they put it out like at 1 o'clock or something, you're at the venue at 4 or 5. The cheese starts to lift and welcome. The actors are like, "Oh, it's so nice that you're there." Super dried out, and that's always okay. Good. It's tour. I'm on tour. Every time I see this, okay, now I'm on tour.
Yeah.
And it's
funny. There's a cheese that you can buy in Lille in France, which is arguably one of the smelliest cheeses in the world. And I remember buying it because I quite liked it, and the smell was kind of so disgusting that it sort of appealed, but it had to be in a sealed box. And I remember coming back from Lille to London on the Eurostar, and I thought, I wonder if it really does smell as I remember. So I opened up the top of the box, and of course, the entire carriage on Eurostar was suddenly, oh my God, what is that horrendous? Because it is the most phenomenally strong smell and tastes great, but you can't have any friends around once you bought it. It's just horrendous. I mean, if you put it into your fridge, it contaminates everything in the fridge, but it's the most fantastic cheese. But maybe I need to put that on my right.
You thought it would be a good idea just to test it on the train.
Just to sneak a peek to see what it was like and have a look. Why not?
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I think I'm ready for dessert. Do you have still that magical bell that calls food to you?
I do. It's not going to help much because my dessert is next to me, but let me try.
Oh, mine isn't. Maybe it will help.
Let me try. It's an apple.
It helps. So what are you having for dessert?
We call these apple. Excuse me.
We call this Lovecraftian nightmare.
We call this an apple.
Ah, an apple.
I
Cool.
always eat. Well, we always eat fruit after dinner.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I also have fruit, but yogurty, Greek yogurt, 10% fat. I like eating like that rich yogurt because I tend to eat only a small portion. Here, I'm gonna switch.
One of my
You
five
have
of
just
the day.
noticed with me that it's on that the beer was in the view. So this is it, and it's yogurt with honey and some walnuts.
Nice.
And of course, peaches. And peaches, again, have amazing musical capabilities.
Show me.
Such a musical fruit. That was a delightful dessert.
Yeah, that's me trying to digest. It's never easy.
Yeah, it is.
Let's stop that noise. Yeah, that was a kind of a techno dessert, as it's known in the books.
Yeah. Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting. I never. I had an inch, so I was a bit like, so that Peaches would have that much musical power. I kind of heard about, because there was this song by the presidents of the United States that were singing about them.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I thought, okay, I have to try them, and I was really, really good what they do. Yeah, yeah. Don't sing that; we'll get demonetized. And
true.
but it's also helped, like, with the, I'll switch this view. It helped a lot with the deoxidation effect on my omnichord, because that got very brown over time. It used to be all this color, but now through the help of all the acids, it's coming back to its original color. Very nice.
Wow.
Very nice. Robin, this has been amazing. This has been amazing.
Hopefully it's an inspiration for families everywhere to make music with their meals.
Yeah, instead of don't play with your food. No. That's
Definitely play with your food.
so 2019. That's not what you do. Now you play with it together. Play together with your food.
Exactly.
I think that's a good idea.
That's very important. So should we get the bill now? The
We
Zahlen
should
bitte?
get the bill. Bezahlen. Bezahlen bitte. Yes, yes, yes.
Are you going to get this, or shall I get?
I think this time I'll get it. You are invited.
Thank you.
Next time, yeah, it was that was. I hope. I really hope. Cheers. We can do this in real life at some point.
Yeah,
This would
that's
be
an ambition.
to do something like that on stage, and me maybe even with the audience also eating. So that would be such a lovely thing
I
to
was thinking it's one of
try.
the only times you could probably actually be quite demanding in your rider, and rather than just ask for snacks backstage, you could actually say, "I need this meal, I need this dessert, this starter," and actually, because it's part of the performance, instead of asking for a particular type of PA system, you get
You've got a whole menu. You
Yeah,
basically
so-
get. Or would we travel with our own cook?
That's the other way to do it.
That's the other way to do it. No, it's there's lots of ideas to be had in there.
Yeah, I think when the world returns to some sense of normality and we can enter spaces together again, I would love the idea of doing a performance in a more theatrical space together with an audience. That there's that kind of. I'd like the idea maybe people could sit around and you sit in the middle, and it's all part of this engagement. You know, I think
Yeah, definitely.
the thing that attracted me originally to kind of electronic music was this otherworldliness of looking at these boxes on a stage, thinking, "What is this person doing?" And today, I think, one of the most interesting things I always find is after any kind of performance, I've spoken about this before, but people come up because they want to try and understand, even by looking or talking to you, how this thing happened, how this kind of magic occurred in space. And, I think that's what always appealed to me about modular and these kind of materials to make music with, is that you can actually look into it in a sense and try and work out the physicality, as opposed to watching somebody just with a screen and trying to anticipate or project what kind of software they may be using to make those sounds. I mean, this is all the same for you, completely computer free. There's no
Yes.
sequencing in a traditional way or anything. So
No. The only
that's the
thing
joy.
that the computer is the medium that delivers that to everybody, and therefore I
Yes.
think it's pretty good medium.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but you mentioned the audience. Maybe the audience, if you've got questions, I think now we can start. We can stop looking at our tables and our our instruments, and we can answer questions. So if there are questions, please do ask them right now. I can't go back really, so please ask them.
We have
again
a caller
now.
on line one. No.
What do they think was the most successful component chain in each of their setups in this presentation? That's from Synth Addict. What do you think?
Good question. Possibly the Apple. No. I mean, mine, if I just explain my setup, perhaps, is that an easier way to do it in a sense, to kind of lead into that, which is that what I have are contact microphones on different aspects of the table. These are going through the Coma Field Kit, which allows me to run kind of modulation, reverb, and echoes. That then goes into a Electro-Harmonix 45000, however you say the name of these things. And that allows me to build up sequences, and I have a foot pedal so I can loop things and slow them down and speed them up. I have the Coco Quantus, where just a couple of times I played notes because I thought, let's look back at how musicians used to do things in the 50s, and they had oscillators, so let me play the most basic things. And here I have a few pedals so I can make loops. So it's a chain reaction. I mean, this is largely inspired by growing up with work by composers like David Tudor, the American composer who produced a lot of works for John Cage, performed them, and made his own extraordinary works. And if you're not familiar with the work of Tudor, it's certainly worth checking out. He sort of enamored me with the look of his work. I went to see him as a teenager with a dance company, and he had all these mysterious boxes that he built, and I had no idea what these things even were, but they were kind of feeding back on each other. So in some sense, what the system does is feedback. It goes into a mixing desk, which can then send it back around, and every now and then it gets out of control, but so is the nature of something live. So I don't think there's any one thing this performance is made out of. It's a combination of small things that can all speak to each other. And I was deliberately trying to avoid anything that was too, let's say, melodic or musical. Hainbach and I had spoken about how we do a performance some time ago. We realized that we couldn't do anything rhythmic, so one of us could do one thing and one could do the other. And that's how this kind of conversation began. And then it playfully turned into an idea of having dinner together, and hence this. And I just wondered what kind of sonic art could appear from the sounds of knives and forks and foods. And in some ways, maybe it's disgusting for some people, those kind of crunchy sounds. But also, I was very aware of that fascination with online. People are really fascinated by close mic kind of. When people speak like this, and they really love that kind of intimacy. And so that was kind of drawing on that. So that's kind of my answer. Maybe you want to answer.
Well, no, I think I got, there was a question that was, I need to, that's one thing. I can really switch easily between, I can switch easily like between cameras, but I can't switch easily on the software that we're using. By the way, thank you everybody who donated so much. It's very much appreciated. Thank you, FX Music. I just saw you. Thank you so much. But there was a question about the plate that I used and what effects chain was on there. And basically, I contact mic the whole table. And so, blah, blah, blah. So even when I speak, you can hear this resonance. And what this is the Eventide H3000. That has a resonant patch that I tuned exactly to the pitch of this glass when it's empty, not when it's full. Now it's a different pitch. But every time I would put something down, just this glorious, glorious space would appear. And so that was my starting idea, that this glass would be the root of everything that I would do. And so that's the plate, basically. And one thing that I tried to do is avoid actually playing things. I wanted stuff to happen accidentally to what I'm doing. I didn't want to be there and pray the omnichord. And that's why I have stuff like the Seat Lombarde Deerhorn organ that is just here. And every time, let me turn all of this on. Every time I just pass it, when I try to grab the glass, it will play, because this is like a theremin. So it's very much like, it's good that you're drinking. Not that I need that kind of encouragement. But then on the forks and knives, I have these apparently machine washable sensors by Instrument of Things, and they run into this. They control the whole modular using this 2.4 sync module, and I've set it the knife up so it's 2 oscillators, both by Analog, and I can play it like from direction. But I tried not to play it. Like with the interaction with the plate, stuff would happen. Same thing with the fork. That would play the piston Honda over here, and also ping the Analog filter. But one thing I had to be very certain about is to find the resting position of these sensors. So I had to, because I had everything activated all the time, I wanted to build myself this mind field where I have to be really, really, oh, mind field. No, I meant mind field, but I have to be really mindful of what I'm doing. So all my actions have a reaction. So while Robin was more processing the sound, the actual sounds, I was trying to go more for the gestures. I didn't want to process the sound as much, just gestures, like putting something down or just moving around. That was my whole game with this. So, more questions? Hainbach, mashed potato, do you program this plate yourself? You mean the sound of this? This is an algorithm that's in the H3000. It's just beautiful, and I just tuned it to this pitch. I only had this unit for like 3 weeks, and there's 999 patches on there, and they're all great. They're all great. It's a beautiful unit. So, Yeah, no, it's just there. I just modified it. So, and Simon Stansfield, what's going on with the Omnichord? Well, the Omnichord, that's a Folktech modded Omnichord. And so it has all these touch plates where you can access the way you go into the sounds. So you get, let me do this view. So you get a row for more softer sounds, which is, where is it? I think it's off, yes. So you get the row where you can play. Now it doesn't want to play anything anymore. Because I pitched it down too far. Turned on all the effects here. Good. So you got this row, this is more for slow. Angelic stuff. Then you got this row for glitchy bass, a row for rhythm, and a row for more organ type tones. And then you get all these modifiers that are very noisy but can do nice rhythms if you want to. One of the first videos where I talk on YouTube is about this instrument. So yeah, I'll put it in the what's it called? In the comments later on. More questions, everyone?
Yeah, I can't read any comments from here, so I can't.
Oh, you can't read them.
No.
Okay. So I wonder if I need to figure out a way if I can scroll through them. Maybe here. Yes, I can. I can. So, Eventide, good material. The fix. So.
Just read the bad ones.
The bad ones.
No, don't read the bad ones.
Why does Scanner have a Blofeld on the floor?
Do I? I do. It's true. Because I just upgraded the firmware. I thought, where was that? Because I just upgraded the firmware on it, and I bought the sample. There was an offer on the sample ROM recently, so I just upgraded it, and I had to do it through the iMac, and I had no space, so it's currently living on the floor for a day. But don't worry, I take good care of it.
Okay.
I thought,
Gerald Fjord. Gerald Fjord, great to see you here, buddy. What food pairs best with rings? I don't have that module, so I can't comment. Do you know?
I use cloud potatoes. Works very well.
Cloud potatoes. So there you get it.
Yeah, there we are. I think that's the best one. Cloud potatoes.
Cloud potatoes. Awesome.
Yeah. Mutable are actually releasing cloud potatoes as a module later this year, I believe.
That's in the new. Yeah, I saw they're releasing new modules, and that's one. It's a special edition, Cloud Potatoes.
It is, yeah, just for the food fanatics out there.
I think what I heard, it combines like the airiness of the original Clouds with some really earthy oomph.
Earthy, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the right temperature, they can become, quite sort of roasted. The sound.
Yeah, like fries, so they remind you of your childhood.
Almost.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, very nostalgic module. Very nostalgic.
Yeah, exactly.
If you come from Britain, but yeah. She's from France, so
exactly.
But it's French fries, huh? So there you go. We solved the mystery.
Exactly.
So I think like we don't have any questions. Oh, hi Scanner. Who was the artist you mentioned? David Tudor, right?
David Tudor, Tudor. He made an extraordinary piece called Rainforest. And the Getty Institute in America, you can easily find it online, have a massive archive of hundreds of videos and audio works of his. You can easily find things on YouTube. I mean, he's an interesting character because he was, in a sense, he was the great interpreter of the work of John Cage, the composer, but went on to make his own work. And it's an extraordinary type of work which uses feedback processes. So he has boxes that go into boxes and kind of turn back on themselves. And I saw him many times in the 80s with a dance company called the Merce Cunningham Dance Company. And Merce Cunningham was the partner of John Cage, the composer. And so they always worked together. And Tudor would be the interpreter of Cage's music quite often, or play his own work. And there was an event, or a performance called Event. And I was fortunate enough to be invited to be one of the performers in this back in the 90s. and I performed with Phil Selway from a pop group called Radiohead. Some of you may have heard of them, and they're getting to be quite popular. And a few other composers. And essentially what we did then was what Bedford was doing in the past. So we all sat up on tables, and it's an extraordinary thing to experience. When you work with contemporary dance, usually what happens is you write a score for it and they choreograph to it. Not with Merce Cunningham. With Cunningham, the dance happens and the music happens at the same time, but there's no correlation between the two. And the piece Event is interesting because it plays for something like 75 minutes. And there were 3 of us playing. But within that 75 minutes, you all have to take something like a 5-minute break. But you can take a 5-minute break all at once, or you can split it into 5 1-minute sections, or however you wish, but it has to still be 5 minutes. So it could be during the performance in the theatre, in front of the audience and live dance, that we all decide at the same point to stop playing music for 5 minutes, at which point everybody starts to freak out. But that doesn't happen. But, you know, Tudor was one of these characters who I heard very early on in my life and was a huge inspiration. And often with these figures, it's even not always about the work that they made. Often it's about the ideas and the projection of these into the kind of public sphere. And, you know, Hainbach and I had spoken about this performance in this last week, and we were saying, let's take on our different roles. He can be kind of Stockhausen, and I can do my kind of music concrete. I can use sounds that are around us in the atmosphere here, in this environment, and use those and transform them. And in fact, my setup was kind of inspired by that, because with the early electronic music, often what they were using were tape recorders. They were recording sounds, slowing them down, reversing them, doing the most basic things. And in a way, this electroharmonics looper allows me to do the same thing. I can put a sound in it. I can speed it up. I can slow it down. I can build up 4 layers. I can bounce those to another layer. I can add 4 more layers. You can build up something quite orchestral and kind of epic with it. And so I was kind of gesturing towards that kind of work, which is partly why I wore a smart shirt and a black tie, because if you were to look up photographs of Tudor and Gordon Mummer and Cage and all these figures, they all dressed very smartly. And I thought it's quite important to be smart, I feel, when you're going to perform. And also we were having dinner, and I thought when you go to dinner, you often make an effort. So I like the idea of making an effort. And to be honest, I only had to walk downstairs to change. You don't have to go to your hotel and change or anything like that when you're doing this from your own home. But it's, partly about respect as well, to kind of look smart for your audience, to look professional as well.
Yeah. We got a detailed question by Wishbone Brewery. Can we use the acidity of food to control CV, measuring pH, and using fruit as a voltage source? Probably. I don't know. That's a very technical question if you can.
You can, yeah. I mean, there are different ways. I mean, there are modules. There's the Instro module. There are a number of modules where you have contacts and you can put them into fruit. In fact, there's in the field kit, the Coma Electronic, you can attach those to different bits of fruit and create sounds. It's often quite risky because they don't seem to always behave the way you want them to behave. It's not like you think this banana is definitely going to sound better than this apple. It doesn't necessarily work like that. But, it's the same way you can do it with plants. You can attach these sensors to different parts of a plant and produce these kind of algorithmic sound patterns. To me, I find that quite fascinating, the possibility of sound being created beyond us making decisions, beyond you and I making a decision. This device doing it for you. A machine making a decision is one thing. A machine translating that from an organic material is quite another. And I find that quite sort of inspirational and quite thrilling in a way, although I haven't really used it. Maybe we need to do a fruit performance another day and see what emerges. Maybe nothing.
I wanted to use the Coma Field Kit too because it's got a temperature sensor. So I wanted to have a candle. I was thinking about having a candle here and then put the sensor there. So as soon as it burns down, like it would influence something. But I knew that if I had a duvel, I didn't want to have open fire anywhere. That's not a good idea. Not a good idea, especially since this is plastic. So no,
true.
I decided against that. But Coma Field
Safety
Kit
first.
is
Safety first.
Safety first. So more questions. I'm going up to the questions and try to go down again. Have you guys, Synthetic, have you guys tried to use the makey DIY boards with food items and modular? No?
Neither of us.
Okay.
No.
Good.
Oh.
Next question. Giddy Gavin. Scanner, since I can't grab the set list, can I have your napkin as a souvenir, please?
We'll see about that. Giddy Gavin was the first member of the Scanner Bandcamp fan club, I have to say. So I'm very grateful to him and actually everybody who supported me on that. And if I can just mention it, if that's okay, I set this up because
Please.
we're at a time when there is zero income. I even had to ring the insurance people today and just say, can you reduce my insurance premium because I can't really afford to pay it at the moment. It's a little bit tragic. But the Bandcamp works because I have an absurd archive of material. I just, in the last month, digitized about 50 to 60 hours of my old Fostex tape recordings from the 80s. And so that's, 30 years ago, all these recordings. And so I share this kind of work with the fan club. And awesome. It's great to have support and exchange and, to share work with people who actually seem to care about it. And when I worked out the money, it's just £5 a month, which, is cheaper than a pizza. It's about the same price as a kind of artisan coffee in a kind of crazy cafe with a tip. But I'm giving something every single week. So every week they get something. So there's been a 2-hour soundtrack that's been unreleased. There's film pieces, there's dance pieces, there's all manner of things. And what also I do is pieces like this that we've done, or if I do a live performance, I give that away to all the, all the supporters as well. So it's been a great thing, and it's a nice sense of community. I grew up with an idea of fan clubs, and I like that old-fashioned idea. It's one thing to have a page on a social network, but it's great, as with these kind of ways that people can support you, and you can give them something back that just feels a little bit more special. Yeah.
Did Robin freeze up for everyone? Only for me?
No, I can see myself moving.
I can't hear him.
No?
Uh-oh.
You can't hear me?
Hello. Did you freeze up? I don't know if you froze up for everyone or just me.
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. But you were just like in the streaming window, you were black.
Okay. Wow.
So, it's fine here. Okay, it was fine for everybody.
Okay.
No, it's apparently the problem is on my side. Probably
okay.
Download. Too many people watching Netflix right now. Sorry everybody for getting scared. So no, but check out the fan club. Check out the Bandcamp fan club of Robin, because this is the kind of stuff that makes this possible for me. It's the Patreon, and everybody supports me there. Basically, gives it's a lot of time to make something like this. Even so, that's to have the monthly security to just be able to do something like that. That's super amazing.
I mean, if you consider how many days we've spent working on this, I mean, really just preparing. If you were to think about in financial terms, it's absurd. Like literally 3 or 4 days of just setting this up and testing it to see what can and can't work for a short, playful experience.
But one thing that's good that you said, because you said you're gonna put this out, and I think it's also gonna be on the Patreon. I think so. If that's fine with you, Robin. It's just gonna be the good quality audio recording of this, because streaming, as you just saw, it can do horrible things to the quality.
Yeah.
And it will be like a nicely evened out, balanced version of the full recorded audio. I'm recording. Yes, I'm still recording. So that will be out on both of our respective crowdsourcing websites. Perfect. And also weird. That's one thing. We'll be doing like a behind the scenes video. I've got some footage of my wife and my kids like making the food and talk more in detail about what patches I used here and there. So, and Robin, you also sent me stuff for that video. So that will be out next week to give some more background in high quality.
Wow.
And not just 720p. So.
And stereo.
And stereo, yes.
Yeah.
Though I have to say, except for the table, everything, I already made it in mono. So I monoed everything on the desk. So more questions. So let me say, I'm trying to find a new question. no question. Question. Biggest headphones since Elton John. Yes, the Cybertruck of headphones. Yeah, they're really big. Synthetic, anyone tried the Ranger FX Minibar? I didn't. That's an interesting pedal. I haven't. Yeah, I only saw it. Sounds interesting, but I haven't tried it.
No, yeah.
So, I think everybody. I think we're gonna wrap this up now. So it's been absolutely amazing, Robin, having you over, and thanks for going with this crazy idea and having fun with it. And yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. The people are back, and I think think they're shutting us down now. Yeah,
they are. I think I can see the guys bringing in the seats from outside.
Yeah. They called last orders.
Yeah.
They called last orders like half an hour ago. So yeah, and I'm all out of Duvel. So.
Oh. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, and yeah. And everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for using the super chat. Thank you for just being with us here this evening. Stay safe, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.